Hey, y'all. So, I'm going to take this moment to shout out the artists out there, the poets, um, the singers, the painters, the dancers, all of you. Um, Especially those artists you are the first in your family to be an artist or be an entrepreneur. Um, it's not easy, and I just want to say I see you. I want to say I acknowledge the work that you put in, and I get you. um we do. And right now, actually, I am talking to all of the artists, but highlighting the artists who live from their work, whose art is, and there is no hierarchy. This is just who I am speaking to because this is me. Um, Artists whose art is expressing yourselves with your words. So the poets, the writers, the singers, the songwriters. It's not. I acknowledge your bravery, love. Um, I acknowledge the healing it takes to, and the bravery it takes to go through whatever you went through, and put your life, put your stories in words, and stand on stages and be judged by a bunch of people. And uh, especially if you didn't have a role model. Like that was my story. Um, I don't know that there was ever an artist in my family on either side that lived from his or her art ever. I don't know. If there was, I don't know. And so, and I didn't come from a family with a lot of money that it was like, just go and explore your dreams and live your passion. I did not come from that. Shout out, and love, peace and love to the family. But I didn't come from that. Um, I came from, you go to school and you get a degree and you get a good job and you work that job for 99,000 years, and then you retire and you get a pin and a plaque. And I always knew that that was not going to be my route. Like I always knew that. I always knew that, it's going to be different than that. Um, Very early on, since I can remember, I was going to be a writer. Since I can remember, I was in the first grade, and I first or second grade, and I started keeping a journal that I called My Famous Stories. And My Famous Stories was very important to me. While children would be outside, my mother will tell you, my grandmother will tell you, I much preferred to stay inside and practice my cursive because I was going to be a famous writer. So, um, so, but I didn't have a role model. I didn't have an uncle so and so that I could go to, or an aunt so and so that I could go to and say, how do I live doing this? Now, there were creative people in my family, but none of them lived from that. I had an uncle who did write poetry, and um, my mother can write poetry. She would never call herself a poet. But neither of them would dare say, like, this is my job. But I did. And that road, and if you are that person, if you are me, I know that that was not easy for you. Or I'm going to assume that that was not easy for you. The first doctor in the family gets, what? We have a doctor. The first lawyer gets, we have a lawyer. Should the first braider gets, okay, I'm gonna get my hair did. The first nail tech, the first poet does not get that kind of praise. The first poet gets side eyes. The first poet, the first painter gets questions on, maybe you should do this on the weekend. The first doctor does not get, you should heal people on the weekend. And I get it, but I don't know how much how much I chose being an artist, being a writer, being a painter. I don't know how much I chose that, or how much it chose me, or I came into this lifetime to be that. I don't know. But I did know from early on that that is what my purpose was. And I often say, I'm not the best, I am not the best poet. I am not the best painter. While poetry is my first creative language, I do also paint. And so again, I say I am not the best poet, right? But you won't find one more dedicated to the craft than I am. You won't. Fight me. I am incredibly passionate about what I do. I am incredibly passionate about developing my craft, um, and sharing my work. I am thankful that at 56 years old, I am still in this game of poetry. I am still speaking to crowds. I am still educating. I am still pouring my heart into others. I am still doing that. I started working as a poet professionally in 94, and I'm still doing it. I was never the poet that got like all the, you know what I mean, the super great gigs. I wasn't her. I got gigs that fed me, and I still get gigs that feed me. I am not Stara, okay, and am way cool with it. I've been on big stages. I've been on small stages. If I have to choose, like where my heart is, it's me in front of some woman studies class telling stories. It's me there. Or it's me in front of a group of 50, 60 women talking about my life, talking about mental health. But I want to acknowledge and just say to you, because you are out there, and this video is getting longer than I intended it to get, but I know that you are out there and I see you. And and I see you. I was you. I am you. I know what it is to have such a determination in your spirit to say, like, this is what I'm gonna do. I don't follow the rules around selling my art and books and ebooks. I don't follow the rules because I don't know what they are. I don't know what rules. The only rule is to pay your rent every single month. That's the rule. That's the rule. And um, there is no other painter, poet that could live my life better than I live my life. There isn't one. Um, I sell, excuse me, I sell ebooks that I sell for $20. I have now 14, 13 of them that are on the site. I have 13 of them. I'm a blogger. Um, I sell art at pretty low prices, truthfully. Yes, I should raise them. Yes, I should. I know. Um, but do you know, like, what am I saying? I live in a pretty big city. My rent is not cheap. Um, all that to say, do you know how many ebooks for $20 and paintings I have to sell uh, to live? Thankfully, I do work as an artist in residence for an incredible company. And with this company, I get to share poetry. And I have been there for 15 years. And I will stay for another 15 years if they will have me, because I do what I love to do. I stand on a stage in front of a podium and I recite poems and I tell stories. Shout out to Woman Preach. But back to I see you. I see you. And it's when if you are, I don't know, 13, 14, 15, 16, 22, you're not going to be able to explain it to the people in your life who are committed to not getting you. You're not going to be able to break down um, why you want to do this for a living, um, and not just on the weekends. Like, you're not going to be able to break that down. So don't just live your life. Just live your life. Um, yeah, just live your life. Um, I don't, I like I said, I don't have, um, I don't have a role model. I mean, I have mentors that I look up to, um, but I don't have a person that does what I do and lives where I live or how I live, committed to the same things that I am committed to, who can step by step me in this game. I don't. I have friends who are poets. I have, like I said, mentors who are also writers that I can bounce ideas off of. But even then, I have to make it my own. And I've heard shit in at 56. I don't know. What is 2025 minus 1994? I don't know. Whatever, and however many years that is, I've heard all of it. I've heard it. I've heard it. I've heard all the ways that I shouldn't do it like this. Um, I should do it like this. Like, in the end, all of the shouldas. I heard the shouldas. But in the end, I always go back to what is, like, resonating with me. What is my body saying? What feels right for me? What is bringing me peace? I don't have a college degree. I don't, have, I'm not a doctor of anything. Um, but I know me very, very well. And I have a very good relationship with spirit. I have a great connection with my ancestors, and I am dedicated. I am very disciplined. I wake up. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't write. Not one. There are days that go by that I don't paint. These days I am more in the business of art, more than I am actually painting. And I don't mean the official business of art. Like, I don't mean that. I mean what Jaha Zainabu is going to do is sell art. That's what she's going to do. What Jaha Zainabu is going to do is trouble you on your timeline with a whole bunch of paintings for sale. She's going to do that. Actually, the new thing that Jaha Zainabu might be doing is referring to herself in the third person. She might be doing that now. I don't know. But I only turned this camera on just to say that I see you. Just to say that um, if one of my biggest flexes, my biggest flex, really, my biggest flex, is that I grew into a woman who my younger self would love, would adore, adore. Um, she would. And she would adore me, because I stuck to I stuck to my dream, and I'm living it out. Could I use more money? Yeah. Could I drive a better car, or da 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 da, all the things? I mean, sure. But at the end of the day, I choose my life. At the end of the day, I would still have my life again. Now, I might supersize it. I might have more money. I might not um, do the rent hustle at the end of the month. I might not do that because I might have more money. Um, but I I would look back and go, yeah, I would have that. I would have that discipline that Jaha Zainabu has. Um, I would have the bravery that Jaha Zainabu has. Um, I am actually, well, I'm obviously speaking into my camera, so I'm obviously looking at my own face and able to tell my own face, my own body, that you did it. You did it, Jaha. And there were days that were not easy. There were so many days that were not easy. There were so many people who did not show up in the most loving ways. And there were so many people who did everything to discourage you from being who you are today. But you are who you are today. And you are a really good mother. And you are a really good friend. You are a really good poet. You are a good painter. You are a good daughter. You are a good sister. You are a good citizen of this earth. And I want to say to you that I love you. I love you. And I am glad that you did what you did. I am glad that you, on many, many, many occasions, said what you said. I am glad that you took up for who you took up for. I am glad that you did not let your mistakes, and there were many, shame you. I am glad that you did not. I am glad that you fell and got up. I am glad that you have embraced loving yourself in very big ways, very big and quiet ways. I am proud of you. I am in awe of who you became. And it's too easy to look at a poet's work, a writer's work, a songwriter's work, and pick apart their lives, sentence by sentence, stanza by stanza. It's too easy, to sit in the background and in the very back row and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Did you hear what she said? Did you hear like what he said? Um, because we stand on stages and we give out very ugly parts of our lives. And I remember, I guess it was an article or something that, or maybe it was an interview. I think somebody was interviewing Lauryn Hill after she had come out with that acoustic album. And in the interview, she said something like, in that song to Zion, her son, how she was praised for like not listening to the other people, and like I saying like maybe it's not the right time to have a baby and all the things. And in this interview, this is obviously years later, and Zion has grown, is an adult, and she says, well, there were times, when my baby was like I was backstage or I was about to go on stage and I couldn't hold my baby because I didn't want Zion to throw up on me. And it's like that part doesn't go on the song, you know. Like there are shitty parts of us, and not that that was shitty of Lauren, because you don't want to throw up on you when somebody else actually can hold the baby, right? But I think of like parts of me. There are shitty parts of me. There are shitty parts of me, and as a poet who is good at telling shitty parts, you can't exclude yourself. The same foul I call on the asshole who raped me, I gotta call on myself. And there's a risk to that. But the lesson, the reason we do it, is because there are people listening. There's a young girl listening. There's a young woman listening who might feel like her life ain't shit because she didn't do it as perfectly as I did. And she needs to know that I didn't do it perfectly. She needs to know. She wasn't by herself. In being imperfect. She was not. And Now at 56, um, I have to adjust like rules. Not rules, like what rules, but I have to adjust how I move. I'm not in my 20s anymore. I am not um really even trying to hop on a bunch of planes and trains or automobiles anymore. And so, it's like, okay, so now, okay, new rules to selling this art, new rules to living as a poet, new rules. Um, I don't have a cajillion dollars in my retirement account or 1,000, right? Um, and so there, there, the creativity, the dance around um, living and still staying true to myself and still staying true to my mental health. I am bipolar 1, and that road has not been easy. Um, I have been in the psych ward in Los Angeles 3 times, and that road was not easy. That stay was not fun. None of the times was that fun. I have been on crazy medication. Um, my last psychiatrist was my last psychiatrist, probably. And he told me um, that I was on the highest dosage of lithium that he could prescribe me, and that I should um, take, I should have what is it called, electric shock therapy, which I didn't even know they still did that. But I was a hard pass to electric shock therapy, and he kind of Kanye shrugged me on, I don't know what to do for you. I don't either. And so I moved to Atlanta, and I don't I don't have a doctor here. And because you have to be on like under a doctor's care to be on lithium, period, because of how it affects your kidneys and blah 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 blah. Like I moved here almost 2 years ago, and I just kind of was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. That wasn't the smartest thing, and don't take that route if taking that route ain't no punk. And so there is, I do have to be very vigilant about protecting my mental health so that I don't end up in another psych ward in a state I don't really know and know very few people. I have to be very careful about that. I have to be careful about my stress level. Um, but when I step back and take a broad look at my life, and not even like my life, I mean, like my life, even like right now, I think this woman is brave. How, how, uh, freeing, and the way this woman is committed to her peace and her sanctuary and living um, by her rules um, without an instruction manual, without someone. I don't have a team. There is no one that steps in and says, "This is how we're gonna sell the art." There's no one that says that. It's me. It's me. Um, there's no one that says, this is how we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna sell the ebooks. There's no one that says that. It's me. Um, I um, I don't know. One day, what happened? So I'm a Virgo, if that means anything to anybody, and I don't really know really what that means, to be honest with you, but I heard that we are pretty meticulous about, like, I guess, keeping record and being organized, and that would be me. That tracks for me. And back in January of this year, I was keeping a detailed record on my art, like what sold, when, who bought it, and then around the maybe the uh, I don't know, third, fourth, fifth of the month, somewhere. Um, no, it was later than that. Okay, let's say the 10th. What the date doesn't matter. But so somewhere in January, I noticed that I had gone about 10, maybe 12 days and I hadn't sold any art. And I only live on art and what I sell. That's it. I don't sell shoes on Tuesdays. And so to go 12 days without making a sale is a big deal. And so I said, what can I do to um, like interrupt that pattern, interrupt that? And I said, and I did have ebook. I mean, not book. I did have books by a couple of publishers that are still in print. But even with those books, I have to split that with the publisher. And so I said, okay, what can I create so that I'm getting like a $20 ticket or a smaller ticket, and I didn't want to sell $20 art. So I said, I'll make an ebook. I don't know. And I created some poetry and I called it a thing, whatever I called it. Whatever the first ebook was, I called it that. And so then I said, okay, that's going to take care. I mean, everybody who's going to buy that ebook is probably going to buy it when I post it, like in the month of when I post it. And they did. And so then I said, okay, well, that will take care of that month, or how do I. And so then I said, okay, well, why don't I make it a project? And I'll put out an ebook every month. And neither the stories nor the poems will repeat. So it's like, okay, you might have the book of poetry, but you don't have the book of essays or the book of short stories, or you don't have the novella, or you don't have. So so I kind of kept the same customers, and I kept but that only came, I wasn't sitting around, I wasn't on some long drive with some great passion to create ebooks. I was not. But that showed up inside of what was missing or what I could do. It showed up. And things keep showing up. And it showed up inside of coming from me, inside of rent is due, inside of I have a thrift store habit. Um, and I didn't have someone that I could bounce that off of and they come up with, you know what? You should. I don't have a you should person in my life. It would be good. Actually, I do have people who should me, but they don't be doing what I do. They are other things than being a poet or an artist, period. They are that. And so their ideas are not what I would do. And the truth is, you know, I don't know a person who shoulds me that is not an artist who could live my life. Not one. Not one. I don't I don't have anybody in my life who I don't who has like, a regular job, no shade, who has ever lifted an eyebrow or turned a nose up at me, who could create things from their hands and live. I don't know one. You know. And have there been times at the end of the month where I'm looking for $200? There have been. But guess what? When I had a pretty good job, I was looking for $200 in too. And I was like, really hated myself. I was like really living this permed out stockings life that wasn't me. And I ain't got to live like that. This video was not intended to be 35 minutes long, but here we are. If you're still here, I see you. Keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. When you get that idea, let it grow. When you get that idea, do something with it. Stop bouncing it off of people who can't catch the ball that you throw at them. They can't. They cannot. And some of them are mad at you because you can't. So stop it. Stop it. Stop wasting your time. Love yourself. And yeah, love yourself. You did a great job. You're doing fine. You're going to be great. You were called into this work for a reason. So keep on. Keep on saying it. Keep on saying really hard truths. Keep on telling your story. Keep on telling your story. They should have been better in your life. I don't know. But tell your story anyway. Keep on writing. Keep on healing. Keep on lifting other writers. Keep on getting that a few things can be true. That you could have made some really shitty decisions. And you're pretty badass. Keep on knowing that part. I love you. All of you. I do. I love you. And you, Jaha, I love you.